Hi everyone, it's Anne. Welcome to my channel, Head Trip Creations, where I create mixed media portrait art. Although today I am using one media because I am practicing a really cool technique. Can't wait to show you how I did it. The video will start now. Enjoy. So, starting with 140-pound watercolor paper and a pad and a sheet of acetate, I am going to use diluted black acrylic paint, just the paint and the water and a couple of brushes. This is a medium-sized watercolor brush, and I'll use a precision brush at some point. But this is, well, it's an idea that I came up with. I haven't seen anybody else do it. I'm sure somebody else does it. I don't give myself that much credit for coming up with amazing ideas. But I honestly thought, all right, you've actually seen me use acetates in my other videos. I use those small ones to transfer the paint. But today I thought, why don't I use a full sheet and practice and actually apply it to the watercolor paper to transfer it, just like I have with the paint and using the smaller pieces of acetate. And that way it would come out maybe almost like a lithograph. And so this is actually beneficial in many ways. One, if you get it right and you can transfer it to your pad, it's almost like using a jelly plate and getting that print, that transfer with that lithograph look, because you're using something that's very inky. You're not using straight acrylic, which dries very quick. It has to be wet, and you'll see what happens when I waited too long for it to dry. But as you could see right here, I'm wiping away the parts that I wanted to do over. And so it's a great way to practice. Like, for example, I have a habit of making the chin too big. And if I was using just paint on the paper, I would have to use a lot of paint to correct it. And the piece is then at risk for getting overworked. So here I get to see where I go wrong, hopefully, and to correct it and develop my skills. So because it's diluted acrylic, it's going to bead, and when it transfers onto the paper, it's going to be very like skippy in a way. It's going to be very dispersed. And it's not going to be perfect, but you will have that opportunity to go over it again. So here, I didn't like the lips. Perfect example. So I'm going to redo the lips. It was very easy. Just wipe it away. It's good to have a damp cloth on hand. And now I'm using a precision brush to just get a little bit more detail. And I didn't like the positioning of the eyes, so I used water to correct it. And here I am redoing the lips, and I love the way these lips came out. I didn't like the first set. But you could see the chin is too big. So easy to just correct it. Just keep working the diluted paint. And then for a little bit more definition, I'm using straight acrylic here and there, but I didn't want to use it on the acetate too much because, as I mentioned before, it would dry very quickly and it wouldn't transfer onto the paper. So just getting a few more shadows, and I'm getting ready to flip it over and transfer it, and you'll see what happens, and you'll see what I do to correct the mistake, I guess you could say. Not a mistake as in composition, but just timing. And so I think I'm in the home stretch right here. I don't want to fast forward it too much because you would miss out on too much. Here I'm flipping it, and now in a perfect world, that whole thing would transfer to the paper. But I waited too long, and I'd say more than half of the black acrylic paint dried. And it's kind of hard to tell because everything does look wet. So I was adding some pressure. I didn't want to use any tools. And when I peaked, which I'll do in a second, I was like, yeah, right here, I peek and you could see it really didn't transfer well. So what I did was I took a spray bottle and I spritzed the acetate a little bit, hoping to activate the black acrylic paint, but that really didn't work because it's not ink. If I was using Speedball Black India ink, it would have definitely activated. So what I did instead was I laid the acetate over what transferred and then applied a little bit more of the diluted black acrylic. Now, I didn't use too much because it would have just become one big blob, and I didn't want that to happen. I want the transfer to have definition, but to be suggestive so that I could go into it with more of the diluted black acrylic here and there at different strengths. So watch what this, hopefully it would transfer. We'll see if it works, right? So that wasn't too bad. And it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but it's a process and it's a learning process for sure. So now what I'm doing is going into it with a precision brush to add some more definition and contrast, but I'm not looking to do a full portrait like I have in, other videos. And if you like this technique and this whole process, let me know because I'll definitely do more. I'm going to do more anyway because I really love the process, but let me know if you like it. So I'm adding straight acrylic to just, like I said, to get that definition, because with the diluted black acrylic, it kind of gets very kind of washed out. It looks more gray. But what I'm making sure that I don't do is get too carried away with filling in the details, because our brain, I'm not a psychologist, but I read that our brain completes the images that we see. So that was kind of like my goal, not to try to perfect things, fill it in. I wanted to leave areas undone. And I think that adds to the overall style. So now looking at it, I'm like, okay, she's done, but let's add a little bit more to the background using the same technique, that diluted black acrylic onto the smaller sheet of acetate and transfer it. And wasn't looking to do hair, wasn't looking to do anything at the top. I just wanted to just add a little bit something for energy, chaos, that artistic license. And I love the way that looks. Wasn't looking to fix anything like a drop that went anywhere. I wanted that. And I love the way her neck turned out. Like, that was definitely, I like this. It goes right onto the face. But I love the way the neck turned out because that was in the original application. So here I'm adding a little bit to the other side of her face to balance it. And as a final step, which was tricky, kind of almost contradicts what I just said about filling in, but I thought that I would use diluted acrylic again, but very diluted so that it's almost like dirty water, and just add a few shadows. So what I'm doing is I'm pressing instead of drawing. And it was actually too much in some spots, so I was able to just sop it up with the brush before it dried, like right here. And then I just added some to her eyelids, to her cheeks to give her a little bit of definition, to the shadow from her eyes down to the side of her nose. There I did remove a drop, I think, but I think this is going to be the final step, and she is done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you have any questions about my process or materials, leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, because I upload regularly. Until the next video, take care. I'll see you soon.